Eric said abruptly, "Do you want me to heal the marks on your shoulder?" I thought of the ugly, crusty crescent, and I thought about the thin shoulder straps on the dress I'd bought to wear. I almost said yes, but then I had a second thought. How would I explain that, Eric? The whole bar saw him grab me. "You are right." Eric shook his head, his eyes closed, as if he were angry with himself. "Of course. You're not aware. You're not undead. How would you have healed so quickly?" Then he did something else unexpected. Eric took my right hand with both of his and gripped it. He looked directly into my face. "I have searched Jackson. I have looked in warehouses, cemeteries, farmhouses, and any place that had a trace of vampire scent about it. Every property Addington owns, and some his followers own. I haven't found a trace of Bill. I am very afraid, Sookie, that it is becoming most likely that Bill is dead. Finally dead." I felt like he'd smacked me in the middle of the forehead with a sledgehammer. My knees just folded, and if he hadn't moved quick as lightning, I'd have been on the floor. Eric sat on a chair that was in the corner of the room, and he gathered me up into a bundle in his lap. He said, "I've upset you too much. I was trying to be practical, and instead I was brutal." I felt a tear trickle out of each eye. Eric's tongue darted out, and I felt a tiny trace of moisture as he licked up my tears. Vampires just seem to like any body fluid, if they can't get blood, and that didn't particularly bother me. I felt glad someone was holding me in a comforting way, even if it was Eric. I sunk deeper into misery, while Eric spent a few moments thinking. "The only place I haven't checked is Russell's Addington's compound, his mansion, with its outbuildings. It would be amazing if Russell were rash enough to keep another vampire prisoner in his own home, but he's been king for 100 years. It could be that he is that confident. Maybe I could sneak in over the wall, but I wouldn't come out again. The grounds are patrolled by Weirs. It's very unlikely we'll get access to such a secure place, and he won't invite us except in very unusual circumstances." Eric let all this sink in. "I think you must tell me what you know about Bill's project." "Is that what all this holding and niceness is about?" I was furious. "Just want to get some information out of me?" I leaped up, revitalized with wrath. Eric jumped up himself and did his best to loom over me. "I think Bill is dead," he said, "and I'm trying to save my own life and yours, you stupid woman." Eric sounded just as angry as I was. "I will find Bill," I said, enunciating each word carefully. I wasn't sure how I was going to accomplish this, but I'd just do some very good spying tonight, and something would turn up. I am no Pollyanna, but I have always been optimistic. "You can't make eyes at Addington, Sookie. He's not interested in women, and if I flirted with him, he would be suspicious. A vampire mating with another, that's unusual. Addington hasn't gotten where he is by being gullible. Maybe his second, Betty Jo, would be interested in me, but she's a vampire too, and the same rule applies. I can't tell you how unusual Bill's fascination with Lorena is. In fact, we disapprove of vampires loving others of our kind." I ignored his last 2 sentences. "How'd you find all this out?" "I met up with a young female vampire last night, and her boyfriend also went to parties at Addington Place." "Oh, he's bisexual?" Eric shrugged. "He's a werewolf, so I guess he's two-natured in more ways than one. I thought vamps didn't date werewolves either." She's being a perverse. "The young ones like to experiment." I rolled my eyes. "So, what are you saying is that I need to concentrate on getting an invitation into Atkinson's compound, since there's nowhere else in Jackson that Bill can be hidden?" "He could be somewhere else in the city," Eric said cautiously, "but I don't think so. The possibility is faint." Remember, Sookie, they've had him for days now. When Eric looked at me, what I saw in his face was pity. That frightened me more than anything. I'd been excited this time the night before. Now I just felt a detached sort of determination, like I was on a powerful drug that divorced me from all my more ordinary emotions. I pulled on my hose and some pretty black garters that Arlene had given me for my birthday. I smiled as I thought of my red-haired friend and her incredible optimism about men even after 4 marriages. Arlene would tell me to enjoy the minute, the second, with every bit of zest I could summon up. She could tell me I never knew what man I might meet. Maybe tonight would be the magic night. Maybe wearing garters would change the course of my life. Arlene would tell me. I can't say I exactly summoned up a smile, but I felt a little less grim as I pulled my dress over my head. It was the color of champagne. There wasn't much of it. I had on black heels and jet earrings, and I was trying to decide if my old coat would look too horrible, or if I should just freeze my butt off out of vanity. Looking at the very worn blue cloth coat, I sighed. I carried it into the living room over my arm. All seat was ready, and he was standing in the middle of the room, waiting for me. Just as I registered the fact that he was looking distinctly nervous, Seat pulled one of the wrap boxes out the pile he'd collected during his morning shopping. He got the self-conscious look on his face, the one he'd been wearing when I'd returned to the apartment. "I think I owe you this," he said, and handed me the large box. "Oh, Alcide, you got me a present?" I know. I was standing there holding the box. "But you have to understand, this is not something that happens to me very often." "Open it," he said gruffly. I tossed the coat onto the nearest chair and unwrapped the gift awkwardly. I wasn't used to my fake nails. After a little maneuvering, I opened the white card box to find that Alcide had replaced my evening wrap. I pulled out the long rectangle slowly, sobering every moment. It was beautiful, a black velvet wrap with beading on the ends. I couldn't help but realize that it cost 5 times what I'd spent on the one that had been damaged. I was speechless. That hardly ever happens to me, but I don't get too many presents, and I don't take them lightly. I wrapped the velvet around me, luxuriating in the feel of it. I rubbed my cheek against it. "Thank you," I said, my voice wobbling. "You're welcome," he said. "God, don't cry, Sookie. I meant you to be happy." "I'm real happy," I said. "I'm not going to cry." I choked back the tears and went to look at myself in the mirror in my bathroom. "Oh, it's beautiful," I said, my heart in my voice. "Good. Glad you like it," Alcide said brusquely. I thought it was the least I could do. He arranged the wrap so that the material covered the red, scabbed marks on my left shoulder.